Continue this video with forum leader Alan and Ann, Dr. Ann. And if you're done the forum of the advanced course, 5-day courses, 915 bucks each before discount. I don't represent them. I don't make any money off of them. I have nothing to do with them. I'm commenting on information that I feel is a little deceiving or misinforming. Um, Alan's going to say how Werner, who is a real name was Jack, he worked with about 100 other people to develop what is now the form in the advanced course. Um, and Werner also did some other programs, and he's saying Alan is noting that Werner did a was involved in a cult for a minute. Um, Sounds like Werner like kind of sort of infiltrated these cults, found out exactly what they're doing, and then threw away the stuff that didn't work for people and then kept the stuff that did. Anne tells a story about how L. Ron Hubbard told Werner that he was a stage two Scientologist, and then Werner told him, Anne says he was a five. I say that Werner may have said that he's a nine or a 10 and then left L. Ron Hubbard and never went back to Scientology ever. So I'm thinking of someone right now that has done Scientology stuff and that thinks that Landmark is the same as that. And it's not. And it's yeah, I mean, don't I want someone that rejected what you seem to not think is for you about Scientology? If you like did some Scientology and you're like, oh, it wasn't for me, it's like, okay, great. Like this other person also thought that it wasn't for them. And there was like something that you were wanting out of doing Scientology, sounding like something to do with was it freedom, total bridge to total freedom? Um, and Landmark seems to start with the end in mind, work backwards, which is like the exact opposite.
So it's kind of the same. I've been talking with some ex-Scientologists.
Exact opposite of Scientology. So to compare Scientology, a religion, to a 34-year-old effective, 93% effectiveness rating company that's pay their taxes every year and that sued the IRS and won the lawsuit and sued them back for damages. Um, it's just comparing apples and oranges. It's just a real waste of time, really. Not to stifle anybody's self-expression, say it, but it's like if this thing was valuable to you and then you got your voice out about what your concerns and criticisms were. They heard your concerns and criticisms and shifted things to make it work for someone like you in the future. Then there's like no point in still talking about it. It's like talking about a complaint that happened in the 70s that got handled in the 80s. It's like, why are we even talking about this anymore?
It's been really interesting to pronounce, but the e-meter things that they use. And I joked with Chriselle. I said, we
So I
didn't
guess
need
they
meters.
have e-meters at Scientology, and she's gonna joke that at Landmark as staff, they didn't need e-meters. I believe E is for emotional readers. So Anne is saying that she has the skill set of being able to read someone's emotions without a machine. And you want to compare that to a religious organization that uses a machine? I'm just like,
And even especially the listening course there. I mean, I was trained to be able to listen and really hear when a person was there, right? Like that kind of thing. So I was curious if that was and
yeah, it's just like it's like you don't want to, I don't know if you want to listen anymore. Or the listening is clouded by your income.
around this
Sounds
time,
like.
S was getting very popular. And I was reading and hearing all the celebrities, and I went, listen, if this is really about enlightenment and transformation, why are they charging so much money? So that was
Yeah, I mean, look, you have millennia of not charging for enlightenment and go ahead and pay your own flight to Tibet and pay for your food in Tibet and whatever and get enlightened there. And maybe it won't, maybe it'll die off after you leave. Maybe you'll forget something that you got. Maybe you were enlightened in Tibet and then you came home and you came back into life and sort of lost a little bit of that enlightenment that you had. Um, so he's saying, why charge for enlightenment? Well, sorry, the Buddhism didn't work. It did what it did. It gave people what it gave people, and we still have what we have. So, yeah, people got to eat, people got to live, people got to pay rent, people got to pay all the bills, and if you had a better way to do it, then we would probably do it that way. But seems to me that making enlightenment a profitable thing in a mass-produced, customizable program, pretty winner winner for everybody, including Anne, who probably still makes money off of Landmark unless she did the buyout. If there was a buyout, I don't really understand it, but
First, because I knew that enlightenment and transformation had been around for thousands of years, and that someone's charging money for it just didn't fit right with my hippie outlook on life. And Alan, one other thing
I mean, and I get that. And bro, you make money off of Microsoft right now. So like everybody has to have a job, right? So as long as it's not manipulative and not I don't know, like nobody makes a commission there, so it's not like I don't know.
again, before you get to your S experiences, I do for our audience, will you share what your educational background was coming up? Because you have a pretty impressive educational background in addition to this. I know.
Again, we're going to spend another number of minutes on your 58 minute video, quote unquote, referring to Landmark, which is like nothing to do with Landmark at all.
Pieces of paper that say I have an impressive. I understand, but in our world, what I was doing when I was at MIT, getting a Bachelor of Science in Literature, was trying to end the war in Vietnam and drugs, sex, and rock and roll.
Bro, if you really want to end uh, wars, then yeah, I mean, the forum is like a wonderful way to empower people to do that. We got to start somewhere, you know what I mean? We got to get people involved individually, and it's not going to happen overnight. So if you find a better way to end wars, then please tell me what that is, because I've been searching and every sign seems to point to forum is the best way to do that. And it's only 5 days and it's only $915 and it's like not too much to ask.
And figured out how to get a degree with a minimum. Most people didn't even know I was a student at MIT because I was spending so little time there. Yeah. So it's a piece of paper for me.
And I'm also getting that Alan is committed to his own freedom, his own like not working for people. Well, I mean, you do work for Microsoft, so that's not exactly accurate. But yeah, your own freedom. So I don't like being a forum leader is not really aligned with that freedom that you want. Like, Landmark forum leaders are free and they are committed to, if at a moment's notice they need to be in Australia, buying that flight and going out.
It's a piece of paper that says, what's your, is it social inquiry or something? It says I have a Bachelor of Science in Literature and Social Inquiry. Excellent. Yeah, I was curious. But I'm a kinesthetic learner, and I learned through experiencing, through making mistakes, through. But a lot of folks, I think, don't know that like our institutions of higher education, like it's a degree in social inquiry in the early 1970s. Like, I mean, when I saw it, I was like, oh wow, that's unusual. That's really interesting. And it was a very fitting set of words for the man that I would come to know many years later. Yeah. So I think that was really important. So then I got trained in this mystical Christian group on how to be what was called a discipleship instructor. That they had members of the clergy, but I did not take life vows because at that point I already had.
Why didn't you put like former cult member breaks free after doing the Landmark Forum? Like you want to talk about cults and then put Landmark in the title of your video.
A son and a stepdaughter, and so it wasn't appropriate. So I became a discipleship instructor. And during that period of time, people in this order, it's called the Holy Order of Man, it was headquartered in San Francisco. As you know, used to give scholarships to members of the clergy. So some of the members of this group went, including some of the senior members, went into this S training. And I went, well, here's this thing I've been poo-pooing all these years, and some of these people are doing it. And I went, okay. And then I met it.
Yeah, you've been poo-pooing it for years, and now you did it. You got a lot of value out of it, and now you left, and now you want to poo-poo it again?
Teacher from a group called the Emissaries of the Divine Light, and it was part of the
or like make comparisons to land. I mean, no, you didn't pick the title of this. I get it, but like, come on, making comparisons when on the first day of the forum you learn that comparing causes disparagement, and it's like never good for your mental health, let alone anybody else's.
That's where they were headquartered, Loveland, Colorado. Loveland, Colorado. Emissaries of the Divine Light, and it was called the Ontological Society. And that was my first time being exposed to ontology. And I met one of their teachers, and he said, I did the S training. It's nothing new.
Yeah, again, just because some religion and Landmark are both were based in ontology doesn't make them comparable. One's a religion and one's a company.
He says, I call it a spiritual alarm clock. It wakes you up. Period. Doesn't keep you awake, but just wakes you up. And I went, oh, members of the order have done it. This guy's did it.
So he's talking about Landmark Forum wakes you up. It's like a spiritual alarm clock. Even though he did all these other spiritual things and was poo-pooing it for years, he has chosen to do the forum after some time.
Maybe it's something I'll explore. I'm now managing a bookstore college bookstore in Eugene, Oregon, reading every book that was written in 1976, written about Est. And I went, oh, and then my wife went and did it. Not my current wife. My wife went and did it, came back and said, you have to do it, and I'm leaving. Oh, wow.
So she said, do the forum already. I just did it. Or I'm leaving. Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't suggest to me it was a good thing to do.
This is so wild. So I get how you could come to that interpretation. So wife comes home, wife said, I did this 5-day course, you got to do it or I'm leaving. And then you made that mean instead of I love you, honey, I will do it. You took the view of, well, she's leaving. This is something bad and wrong is going on here.
Read all these books.
And it's not what her intention. Her intention was only the best for you.
And decided I was going to do it to prove that it wasn't worth.
Okay, do not do the Landmark Forum if you are going to only be there to prove that it doesn't work. That is like a recipe for it not working.
Anything. But I didn't have a lot of money. I wrote a letter to the head of EST at the time and said, I haven't taken a vow of poverty, but I'm a teacher. I teach Bible classes in my home. If this thing works, I will tell people about it. I can't afford $250. He wrote back, he said, give us $50 and we'll give you a scholarship. So I drove down to San Francisco. Now we're December. I like a deal. So I drove down to San Francisco in my little Volkswagen, December of 76. That was when the S training was 2 weeks, pre-training, a train,
This guy got a $200 discount and yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. It just seems like y'all talk positive, 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 and then talk about how like something negative happened, but you don't want to tell me about it. You just want to talk about it. Meaning like they say abuse or manipulation, but then they never give me any examples of abuse or manipulation aside from this guy, Alan, who apparently choked someone and then got forgiven by that person or whatever. And then someone else getting punched in the arm one time by some random employee. It's like, okay, sorry guys. Okay, on behalf of them, if you felt abuse there, I accept full and total responsibility. That was never the intention. Please get that. And if you haven't done the full 5 days of the forum, please like have an open mind. You can still be skeptical. You can still ask all the questions that you want. Just give the forum people a call. I don't work there. I don't represent them. I have nothing to do with them, but give them a call, leave them a voicemail. They'll call you back and find out for yourself what you would get out of it.
Weekend.
And if you've done the forum, then I highly suggest the advanced course. And if you've done the advanced course, I'm not going to like say, oh, you should do this next course or you should do the communication course. No, they're there. They're there. I took them. I like them. I got value out of them. But after the forum, the advanced course, it's not like there's some other course that you have to take and you have to keep spending money and you have to keep spending your time. And it's not a thing.
Yeah. Jerry Joyner. It was long. Jerry Joyner was my S trainer. And by the third.
Yeah, what did you think enlightenment was just going to happen in a short period of time? Like you're going to call it long? It's 60 hours. 60 hours is 60 hours. It's not long. It's not short. It's 60 hours.
Day, I knew something special was happening here.
On the third day of you poo-pooing something for years and almost getting a divorce, I don't know if you did or not, you said something's happening here. After all of the spiritual enlightenment promises that you got in your past from other cult organizations.
When I raised my hand to challenge the S. Jerry for the 10th time, and he comes off the platform, comes up to me and says, Alan, for 2.5 days you've been here, every time you raise your hand, you're either trying to show that you're smarter than me or that you're one step ahead of everybody else in the room. If you want to.
Yeah, and that's the intention, or the intention that I'm getting from both of you is that you both think that you're smarter than Werner or Landmark or something, and that you're trying to get the best out of I don't know.
Keep doing that for the next.
Trying to like find something that they're doing that's irresponsible.
What I want you to know, your tuition check has already been deposited in the bank, and the check is cleared. Everybody laughs except me. He walks to the front of the room, and I swear I had this profound experience of seeing my life like a movie from the time I was 4 up until 26, and noticing that that's been the theme of my life, proving that I'm.
See, this is an actual, I said this, and they said that, and this was a profound experience for Alan. This is all great. And then y'all want to talk about abuse and manipulation? Like, what are you even talking about? Like, that's maybe you watching someone else have that conversation and watching Alan get told, hey, you're trying to get the better of everything in every situation, and him realizing, oh, wow, I have been doing that. And you could call that physical abuse, mental abuse, but that verbal abuse, excuse me, but that's not what Alan got it as. And he was the one in the conversation.
I'm smarter than everybody else. So I tell people I walked into the S training knowing I was one of the smartest people on the planet and walked out knowing I was just one of the most arrogant people on the planet. And that was a breakthrough. And then the final piece, and it sealed the deal. At that point in the S training, the way it ended on Sunday night is you walked into another room. There was a graduate sitting across from you who was waiting there. It was midnight, 1 a.m, 2 a.m. Yeah. People waiting for you. And they had filled out 3 cards, little index cards.
Yeah, yeah. Again, this was completed in the 70s or the 80s or something.
On people in their life that they knew well. And they described qualities of that person. You'd sit opposite the graduate and you pick a card and they'd say the person's name, Sarah Green. Tell me about Sarah Green. So I'm sitting there. This guy says Sarah Green. And I start describing Sarah Green, what she looked like, what she liked, what she didn't like, her relationship to pets. And then he shows me the card. He said, "You want to do another one? Because you could do 3." And I said, "No, I nailed it on this one. I don't even bother with another one." So I walk out of the Holiday Inn on Van Ness Avenue in San Francisco, 2 a.m, and I am higher than a kite. Yeah. Because I knew that sort of thing was possible. But to be able to sit in a, like they used to say, a stupid ballroom with chandeliers and walk out with that sort of experience possible, I went, this is it. And Alan, I'm just curious. So were the people on the card participants within the program? Or were they these were people who the graduate knew. Just random people. Okay. So you didn't know them at all? Never. All I knew was their name. We're high into the mystical realm here. And, my belief is we are all connected. We are all part of something bigger than us. Consciousness exists outside of the body as well as in the body, and our egos and our brains get in the way of really experiencing what's really possible. So to have that profound an experience, and then I came back and I could see my arrogance and interrupt my arrogance. So then I wrote to, I cast the I Ching. Should I become an S trainer? Said perseverance furthers. I wrote to, folks in San Francisco and said I want to be an S trainer. There was no S in Portland at the time.
So yeah, you told them that you wanted to be an S trainer. So now that you no longer want to be an S trainer, you don't need to make them out to be some sort of comparative to some cult that you were in. It's like so.
Ed said something. So I know you know Ed Berwitz, who we.
And it's like you're not really saying that, but yet you're doing this whole video behind this. Is this a cult? And it's a question. It's not a statement. It's like, I'm just asking questions. It's like, yeah. And your questions have been answered and are answered by everyone that ever participates ever. At some point, someone raises their hand and says, how is this not a cult? And all of those people, 75, 250 people in the forum, all get that question answered for themselves to their own satisfaction. So for you to write a whole book on blah, blah, blah is I don't know.
We interviewed. I listened to your interview. Yeah, I've been having chats, and he's going to be coming out. So anyway, but Ed said that the difference, the S training was about finding out your life didn't work. The joke used to be, we used to always say your asshole, your life didn't work. But because we were asking him about the difference between S and forum, which we'll get to that because you go through both, right? But I think it's really different than that. Yeah, but he said that the kind of the focus of if you were, of the S training was really having people sort of wake up to the life didn't work. And hence the whole Got It, there's a whole movie with a parody on Got It. Apparently I haven't watched it yet, but I've got some people that said.
Yeah, I mean, they may have done things completely different with the forum, but what they're talking about Hurt seminar training seems to be the same result that I got out of the forum.
The forum then became more about creating possibility. I was just curious if what you saw as the S training.
They're both about both.
Distinctly.
Yeah, they evolved and they started doing it a different way and calling it possibility, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the S training was about, the way it was said is rehabilitating your experience to experience life. So experience it, like a tree, not just tree, there's Anne. There's not this thing. There's Anne. To really open up your capacity to experience life as a real, alive phenomenon, not a two-dimensional thing, and to have what in other disciplines would be called an enlightenment experience. Experience of stepping outside of the reality in which you live and seeing it. Wow, like being the observer of your life rather than the character in your life. And all this without drugs, because this was the time of LSD and right, all this without drugs. Yeah, so I would say what the S training was experiential, where the forum was.
The forum is absolutely experiential,
philosophical, and ontological.
No, the forum is not philosophical. None of Landmark Worldwide is philosophical at all. Ontological is the study of being, and it's not really the study of ontology is study of being, period, end of story. Okay, so but Landmark Worldwide was, and they don't still actively talk about this, it seems, but was ontology, the study of being in the domain of being. So it's very distinct from ontology by itself. And now I think they go more from what it is transformation or transformative.
Yeah. And, in some ways, because of what, when Werner got this whole notion about language and being and language and, started studying with other folks who exposed him, in my experience.
Well, how do you say the word expose? First of all, weren't you an employee? So aren't you still involved in the employee stock ownership program? Number two, what are you talking about expose? It feels like you're talking about this smear book that was published that was literally meant to slander this person that was making a difference on the planet. And now you're going to call that exposed? No, nobody was what got exposed is people realizing that the forum isn't what they thought it was, and they were exposed to how the forum was super beneficial or effective or efficient or whatever for them. Um,
Produce necessarily those fireworks that the S training did. In my experience, the forum put you
those fireworks that you're referring to from the S training is probably now in the advanced course. I don't even know if you, I mean, yeah, you led there until a little while ago, so you should have done the newer advanced course, or you would have. Um, I don't know. I got those fireworks from that course, and I don't know.
at the source of the experience, which was language. Gotcha. I think it's just so important for those.
Yeah, the source of the experience, the language, and
Those committed to the industry. Yeah. You got learning the history is vital. Really, really. I'm a huge history believer and huge buff, and so I'm just.
I mean, I guess so. Like, you don't really have to know what Est or Warner who Warner is or Jack, or you don't have to know that stuff. Sure, if you're interested in that stuff, then for sure. But I'm not going to look at some anonymous posting and some like stories about Warner that nobody can actually verify and have actually been debunked and make that my reality. No, I'm going to be like, oh, they're saying that he did X, Y, or Z, or that they did X, Y, or Z. Let me immediately verify that. Like, I feel like a lot of people read a book or see a video and they take it as gospel, and it's like I got another tab open where I can just or I'm taking out my phone and I'm like literally Googling like, is this true? Or like, where does it say that what this said is happening? And then it'll reference it, and then I can read more about it, and then I can determine, oh wow, that video is complete and utter BS, or oh wow, maybe I want to keep looking into this more. I don't know, whatever you want.
And so enjoying hearing all of what it was really like, and the context of the times, right? The times were very different, right? And all of that plays.
And I notice you're wearing your ring on your middle finger. Do you know what that means? The god of, I don't believe this, but the god of chaos and the god of order both wear their rings on the middle finger. So it could mean that you know what you want in life, but you're a little confused about how you get there, or excuse me, a little chaotic about how you get there, not confused.
So then tell us. So you did the S training. You decided I'm going to say one thing about that. One thing about So as you discussed, or maybe Ed did. So Werner was a mind dynamics.
If it's not true, you gotta change the finger. No, not mind dynamics. Again, Werner may have like read a book or spent time with someone that talked about mind dynamics. Werner may have done Scientology. Werner may have done this other, what was the organization that you said that you were in, which was a cult? Like, he may have done those things, but he also left those things. And he never did anything, and Landmark doesn't do anything that is a curse to people, is unworkable for them.
Instructor. Right. And so he had the rights to do that. Also, John Hanley was a mind dynamics instructor, and Roger Wilhite. And those three men.
When I hear mind dynamics, I hear some sort of mind control. And like, Landmark is literally the opposite of mind dynamics or control. Like, it's free thinking.
Started LifeSpring. Hanley, right? One started.
And now you're going to talk about LifeSpring. You're going to talk about all these other things, and then put Landmark in the title, and use Landmark and use the wisdom of a forum leader and a wisdom leader to gain views. Meanwhile, you're talking about something completely different and not giving the proper praise that I say that Landmark. I mean, I don't even have to say it is. The results show it, 93% effectiveness rating. Anyway.
World, and we're going to start at Est. And I met Alexander, and Alexander said Werner's going to be the most successful of the three, because he could tell even then how intentional Werner was, and just how committed Werner was, and that Werner had a vision. It wasn't just starting a business. At least that was Alexander's.
Like, we're taking intention and commitment and making it out to be something bad or wrong.
Perspective. Werner was up to something and had the drive and intention to make it happen. And but I digress. So tell us about how you did that training. You decided, okay, this is it. I've been trying these other things. I know you told me once that when I asked you why did you come to that training, you said because for that period of time it was the thing that I saw that could help me be who I wanted to be and make a difference. I want to make it.
Yeah. So if you've done the Form of the Advanced course, like, think about what your life would be like if you didn't have the Form of the Advanced course. Pretty simple.
It didn't,
if you haven't done it, it's worth every penny. So give him a call.
Like the mystical Christian, you didn't have to believe in this.
And note that there is no affiliate link down below. I don't want you to buy my book. Whatever.
You didn't have to dress a certain way. You didn't have to bow down. You didn't have to, it reliably produced an experience. Right. And back in the 70s, it was all about experience. Right. So we had, it's worth mentioning, audience, this is the time of encounter groups, and Gestalt is a big thing, and like all primal scream. Yeah, it was telling me about primal scream. Yeah. Gestalt therapy, transactional analysis, code count.
Yeah, look, we had to go there to get here. If you guys have a problem with all that stuff, it's like, whatever. It happened, it's over, it's done with, and people got what they got out of that. It's like people don't see that when was it this big craze of paleo diet in like what the 2000s, 2010s and keto and what's the other one? I guess Mediterranean diet. Oh the oh what are the books? The South Beach diet. Then there was anyway, my point is that each generation of ideas builds on top of past ideas, and we're moving forward as a society.
Counseling, it was all about experience. Right. There was something happening. So you become an S trainer. Anything you can, any little tidbits you want to share with, I know it wasn't accurate. Let me tell you. So I'm living in Portland, and there's no S in Portland. It's in Seattle, which is in San Francisco. And then they decided to do an S training in Portland. So I get on the production team and help produce the S training in Portland. And then they started doing seminars. And I was the person from the get-go. I have a good nose for bullshit. Maybe it's my arrogance, maybe it's my nose. Who knows?
I don't understand. How do you go and praise something for 10 minutes and then say you have a nose for BS?
But or you're New Yorker.
I mean, I understand how you could do that with something that's like fake or phony, but like this is the real deal.
Whenever they started talking, whenever they started talking in the seminars, because they didn't say this in the S training that I remember, but when they started talking in the seminars about the way to keep your transformation alive is to bring guests.
Yes, if I am enlightened, happy, healthy, wealthy, wise, free from anxiety, resentment, regret, peace of mind, and the people around me don't have those things and do have a persistent complaint that doesn't serve them. Why would you want to live with someone that doesn't have peace of mind or happiness or like this just seems so ridiculous to me. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I knew that was BS.
No, that's not BS. What are you talking about?
Just full stop. So they would do the guest talk.
I love how people are like, it's BS full stop. And it's like, bro, like, how do you not know that that's your opinion talking? And it's like less than 7% of people's opinions.
In the seminars, and I'd be in the back of the room with a jar of bubbles, and I'd be blowing bubbles that would be flying through the room in the seminar. So that was my unique experience of the forum that's making so much more sense. Because I hear other people talking, I'm like, oh, that was fun. Like, what? I mean, it was intense, but it's fun. Anyway, go ahead. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand how you are like, oh, it's fun. And then you're like, oh, is it a cult? It's like, what are you talking about?
So here I am blowing bubbles. And then Richard Condon, may he rest in peace, comes down one time to lead an introduction to the guest seminar leaders program. And I go, I keep bringing guests, and they always come back telling me they were pressured. So I go, I'm going to be a guest seminar leader because I know I can share this without anybody.
These bring guests and they feel like they've been pressured. Yeah, I mean, I would just say that that's a signpost of the types of conversations that you're having, and that pressure may seem to someone else like a bad thing, and um, there's a certain amount of pressure that would cause a result. I don't know how to explain it, but
Ever experiencing pressure.
you know it's not pressure. You know that that's a story. You know that you mean well for that person and that this is the real deal and would actually make a difference versus all the fakes, frauds, and phonies out there promising X, Y, and Z and not having the track record or the commitment to fulfill on X, Y, or Z.
So I become a guest seminar leader. I'm very effective. Become a seminar leader. And then all I really wanted to do was be an S trainer. They weren't ready to do that. And I get a call, would you like to come on staff in Seattle and work in the center? And I called up one of my friends from college.
Yeah, again, everything you're doing after the forum is your choice. So for someone to get their full free choice and then to blame someone else for something that they chose to do in their life is just beyond
an S trainer, no needs on me. And I said, there's no openings to be an S trainer. Should I go on staff? And he said, well, if you do, it'll take you longer to be an S trainer than if you don't. He says, it's very hard being a staff member. And I went, I can handle hard. So I went on staff in 1982 and became an S trainer. Took 6 more years in 1988. And was being a staff member for S hard, like you said? Oh, but being a staff member in the centers, as Ed shared, it's the hardest job you could have. Yeah. But I don't use the word brutal, but it's the hardest job. The demands that are placed on you. Now,
yeah, it's satisfying work. It's not easy work.
I was treated brutally. That's a fact.
Yeah, again, you're gonna say the word brutal. I was treated brutally. It's like, bro, like, don't talk about something and then not give me exact concrete examples. The only thing that I see is that someone promises to make 7 phone calls in an hour and they make six, and then they want to come in and not own their stuff that they promised seven and came in with six. It's like, bro, if you're not gonna honor your word and someone gets a little firm with you or they get upset, it's like, dude, just be your word and or like honor your word right away and take full responsibility and say what's there for you and the other person. And then maybe you would never get yelled at. Like, I don't know.
You know what they go ahead.
And if someone continuously promises seven and continually comes back with six, it's like, um, bro, we've had 9 conversations about this already. You want me to not yell? Like, I'm just kind of confused. What do you want me to do so that you promise seven and you come back with seven? So, like, forgive Landmark if they yelled because you broke your word so many times, um, and you weren't taking responsibility for your word.
Well, I'm just curious. You know, and I know we can't ever like fully put ourselves back, you know, in the moment of that time. We always have the benefit of hindsight, but I'm sort of curious about what
I mean,
had that
well,
being
if you
okay, I guess. You know,
if you kept a record and you wrote down the exact scripts that someone or the words that someone's told you, then you could go back in time and talk about what was said, but you don't have that. So all you have is generalities, and when you generalize, you tell general lies.
you know, why was that? I mean, this is a big question I grappled with for myself, right? I talked about it in the book a little bit, but we'll get to it later. But this is in the essays, you know, which is reputationally the you know the shit.
It's just always, we'll get to it later. We'll get to it later. It's like, did you forget about the someday, maybe one day future? Like it's a conversation that's talked about in the second day of the forum of like human beings naturally resort to this one day, someday I'll get to that. And it sounds like that's what you do in real time because you want to like make this organization that gave you so much wrong, um, that you forget about the things that you did get out of it.
No, there's something. One of the places where I think Werner missed the boat. I don't know that he wanted to be viewed as the way people viewed him, but he did nothing to discourage.
And he missed the boat and he did nothing to discourage people putting him up on a pedestal. Um, and the way he was viewed. Well, a lot of this way he was viewed comes from the competition that thinks that they're going to lose money by people doing the forum. And if you think that you're going to lose money because people are doing the landmark forum, well, then I don't know what to tell you. Like, do the forum yourself and figure out how to make yourself more money doing things that incorporate I don't know. The forum is yeah, I mean, it maybe turned my 6 session therapy session from what could have been a lifetime of therapy or 10 years worth of therapy sessions, cut down to 6 sessions. So, yeah, that therapist, quote unquote, lost money. But maybe as a therapist, you do the form yourself in the advanced course yourself, and then you provide a whole new set of services that you never even thought possible. That got people 10 times the result that you were getting people before. And then you
People
can earn some more money in a different industry or a different cash flow where you don't have to actually work for it, but it still pays you.
do, in my view, responsible for how people were viewing him. Sure.
Bro, when you got people trying to tear you down and then you got other people concerned about the other people that are anonymously trying to tear you down, I mean, bro, you didn't, if you knew what to do, then you would have Warner do that, but you didn't know what to do either. So Warner did what he did, and it's like all good. Um, and then he's going to talk about how he didn't kick people off of their pedestal because Werner and myself and tons of other people have an experience that um, of what will the stars move for and what would make the biggest difference on the planet that I'm committed to making. And that doesn't have to be anything large. It could be something small. So by Werner seeing that he had the capability to shift and end the troubles in Northern Ireland or the like the Good Friday Agreement, causing Earth Day, or not he didn't cause it, the other person caused that, but he provided a space for that to happen. End of apartheid in South Africa, the Berlin Wall falling. Uh, so when you have the ideas that cause all those major shifts on the planet to happen. Yeah, I'm excited. That's empowering to me as a person to see that that's possible. Anyway, we'll